Larkin in studio. Barry, how you feeling today?
I'm feeling fantastic. Thanks for having me.
Tiki, you're welcome. Tiki, tell him what you said when he rolled in. Tell him what you said.
You know how it works.
Go ahead.
You know, black don't crack. He's 51 and looks younger than me.
You guys look young. I'm
Thank
jealous,
you,
man.
thank you.
So,
Genetics.
let me ask you
is.
this. There's a million things we could ask. I want to at least ask you your theory or your thought on Cespedes. Like, because we've seen, I remember when what was the third baseman for the Cardinals who won the MVP? Pendleton, who didn't have great stats.
Right.
We've seen a couple of situations where maybe the best player or team, a player from a lower team that maybe doesn't win, gets the MVP. It's very few and far between. But are you on board with what Cespedes has done for the Mets? How great he's been being dealt and only playing 50 or so games. Can he win the MVP in the
He
NL?
certainly can win the MVP. If a pitcher can win the MVP, pitches 50 games a year. Clayton Kershaw wins MVP. The point is he was very dominant during his time out there, and that's what Cespedes has been. He's been very dominant in his contribution with the team. Now, certainly the pitchers have to go out there and do their job, and other guys have to get on base in order for him to drive in the runs that he's driving in. But his presence alone makes a difference on the ball club. You can see it every single day. So, I think his presence not only affects the team offensively, but it affects the pitchers as well. Pitchers feel like they don't have to go out there and throw shutouts, so it makes them better.
Yeah.
When you have great pitching, it works the other way where the hitters don't feel like they have to go out and score 5 or 6 runs because your pitchers are going to give you a chance to win. That's why the Mets are doing so well.
Oh, those young pitchers are phenomenal.
And they were good anyways.
Yes,
the
they were.
pitchers.
Yes, they were.
Cespedes, though, I wonder, and forget about the Mets' monetary restraints, and we all know what they, with Madoff and over the years. I'm not sure, as good as he's been, he's historically a low on-base guy. Every year he misses 15, 20 games, little tweaks. Would you give him big money if you're the Mets?
He also won the home run derby.
That means nothing. Who cares about that?
It means he can step up on the big stage. That's what it means. And that's the type of player that you have to have. That's the kind of player you have to have in New York. I'm sorry. I think the guy is perfectly built to be here. I would pay him to stay in New York because I think he is the type of player that you need to have here. You have to have a face. And he's a face. He's a guy that is willing to put himself out there and be that guy every single day. That's just the personality that he has, and that's just the game that he plays.
So one of the other things that we were looking at before you walked in the studio, Barry, was your skipper in Cincinnati's rant back in April where he dropped 77 F-bombs. But more importantly, there's been some reports out there that you're interested in the managerial job at the Reds. Is that true?
Not to my knowledge.
Come on.
Well, listen, you said interested,
well,
right?
Let me ask it this way.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me ask it this way. If offered, would you take that job?
Possibly. Now, if offered, would be number one, and possibly because there certainly would have to be, I think, some conversation on where the organization is going. I don't have any managerial experience at the big league level, so it would be certainly something new for me. And is it cohesive with that unit of players that you have to be a first-time major league manager? Now, I managed in Brazil, and I've managed other organizations. I was bench coach for the WBC team also, and I have my own philosophies of how to go about doing things. So I think I would be certainly prepared. However, the question is, what's the philosophy of the team going forward? Is it going to be kind of a Joe Madden type of situation where it is not a win-now situation, where it's a develop player situation? That's where I like to be. I'm in the player development. And how much development is there if you have a more veteran ball club, which you do have in Cincinnati?
Yeah, what are you telling Joey Votto? I mean, keep off the curveball. It's Joey Votto.
Exactly, and that's the case. So when you ask me the question, would I, if offered the job, I think I only would be offered the job if they had a clear philosophy going forward.
And that's the Cincinnati Reds. But what if some other organization reached out to you? Because you're beloved in Cincinnati. We all know this. And you won the World Series in 90 and the MVP in 95. They love you in Cincinnati. Let's say whoever it may be, somewhere, I don't know, the Dodgers. They fired BT's guy, Donnie Baseball.
Mattingly was my guy growing up.
Would you take that job?
Well, once again, it would just depend on the philosophy. It would depend on the situation. If it were a younger ball club with younger players and kind of helping them to develop their regimen or their routine at a big league level, then that's one thing. If it's a win now type of situation, I think this is one thing about myself is that I think I could appeal to both situations simply because of some of the history that I've had. Right now, I have a chance to work with the minor league players in the Reds organization, so I understand. I have my fingers on the pulse of what players are going through right now. Many managers that would come into a managerial situation from the outside would have to dealing with the modern day players, especially if we played back in the day. You know, now how do you make that transition with the social media and just the way things are now? Well, the unique situation that I'm in right now is I'm dealing with that at the minor league level right now.
Of course.
So I'm growing with those guys as they're building their resume. I'm kind of building mine as well. So I've had that experience. So it really would depending on where it would be. It really would make a difference what the philosophy is within the organization. Where are they trying to go?
Yeah, and you also have to deal. Yeah, he also has to deal with the young athlete because his son is a young professional athlete.
Yes, I have to deal with that.
Hey, how about that triangle with the
coaches.
Knicks, huh? How about that triangle? I know you guys loved it, huh? How about Phil Jackson?
Hey,
Shane loved that system.
I'm gonna tell you what. He didn't love that system, but he did learn in that system. And you know, and one thing that my son said to me, and I was talking to him, and you know, we have some very candid conversations because you know, being an ex-professional athlete, you know, I talk real with him. And he's like, you know, although, Dad, that situation wasn't the best for me, I felt like my game grew because I was able to learn how to score a different way. You know, he's sub 6 foot, and he's going back door against trees, you know, but he's scoring. That's how he gets his scoring done. So, you know, and hopefully with the Nets and kind of an open system, he'll be able to not only go back door, but kind of play the way that he did at Miami.
It's Barry Larkin who's in studio with us here on Tiki and Tierney, CBS Sports Radio. By the way, if you want to watch it, just go to watchtikiandtierney.com. You get a look at the Hall of Famer, 95 MVP. Barry, I want to ask you this, and I said this to Tiki to start the show, and it's under the radar, and I wonder if it's because if it's an East Coast bias or an attitude thing. And where I'm going is, Mike Trout's been quiet for a couple of months. Yeah. Mike Trout's hit like 213 in August. He is 240-something now. And in a pennant race, and put quotes around that because they're not playing well, nobody hammers him. Nobody ever takes a – and I love Mike, but it's almost like he's beyond reproach. Whereas with Harper, the smallest infraction, the attitude, yet he's going to have 40-something jacks and might win the MVP. He gets hit for everything he does. Is it the bias in the media, or is it Harper's attitude that subjects him to that criticism?
Well, I think it's Mike Trout's professionalism, if you will. So, you know, Bryce Harper is who he is. We're not talking about why they're hammering him. You asked me why they're not hammering Mike Trout.
Absolutely.
It's because of his professionalism and his accountability. The one thing about Mike Trout, what you will see is he will not skate the media. He will sit there. He will answer the questions. He'll say, you know what, I am not very good right now. I need to be better right now. You know, I had a chance to work with Mike Trout a couple years ago before he – you know, became of prominence, and he was very much the same way. Very humble guy, great parents, came from, you know, small town, and, you know.
Jersey, not too far from here.
That's right, and just a good, wholesome kid. And that's how he is now. And more importantly, I think everyone that he plays with has that same thought about him. That's just the way Mike Trout is. So he's not an easy target, you know, to aim at because he flies. Although he is a superstar, he flies under the radar, and he's humble, and he goes about his business just like any other blue collar guy would. I think that's the reason why Mike Trout's not an easy target, and guys don't go at him.
I'm going to give you a basketball analogy. Now, he's got the championship, so that's changed the entire conversation, but it seems like Dirk Nowitzki, who very understated, lower profile. Nobody really took knocks at Dirk because he just went about his job, put up 25 every night, and kind of kept his mouth shut, a lot like Mike Trout.
And won a championship. So.
Yeah, but I'm saying before the championship.
Gotcha.
You know? Yes, and absolutely. But, you know, you understand what you're getting with Dirk Nowitzki. You know, Dirk's a 7-footer, and he doesn't rebound. You know, he's not an assist guy. What he does is he shoots and he scores. And, you know, I can say that firsthand because I saw it because my son played with him his rookie season. And he's really good at what he does, and you're right. You know, and people are saying, well, you know, is he more of a defensive presence? It's because he's not.
Yeah.
Why isn't he more of an assist guy? It's because he's not. And so it's tough to make that analogy because Mike Trout is an all-around player, as is Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper makes a lot of contributions when he's not hitting home runs. Be it moving the runner over, be it defensive, be it making a throw to the plate.
And he's got a
so
rocket.
These guys, these guys are multifaceted players. So that analogy with Dirk Nowitzki, a little
I
bit,
just meant from the criticism, not the all-around aspect.
Sure.
When you look at the Nationals, and we talk about Bryce Harper, but they've underachieved. I remember coming into the season, 100 wins. They were walking into the World Series. Is this all on the skip, or is
maybe
there,
you manage them? Forget about the Reds.
Yeah, that's the example I should have thrown out there.
That's the job you want.
I did work with the Nationals.
There you go. You heard it here first on Tiki and Tierney, CBS Sports Radio.
See you, Matt Williams.
Exactly.
He's done an awful job. Let's be honest.
Yeah, exactly. How do you reconcile that?
I don't know. I was looking at the standings the other day, and I saw that they were 72-70 at one point. And the guy that I was sitting and talking to, I asked the question. I was like, "How in the world are you 72-70 with that pitching staff?" And Max Scherzer comes over, and
Zimmerman,
and Zimmerman, all those players that you have. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't watch them play every day. I don't know what the relationship is in the clubhouse. I just can't answer. I don't know. But on the surface, with the talent that they have, 72-70 or wherever they are right now.
In a bad division.
Yeah.
Certainly.
73-70. Yeah, they're not making the postseason.
No.
Are you the new Maytag man?
I am the new Maytag.
I am
the Maytag. You see how clean I am right here.
Clean, nice. I mean, I'd have thrown a pocket square in there, but
I couldn't have come in here and upstaged you.
Exactly. So tell us what you got going with Maytag.
Well,
it's the newest Major League Baseball sponsor.
Yes, Major League Baseball and Maytag have a relationship right now, and to commemorate that relationship, they've come up with a program called the Filthiest Play Program. And we're not talking about going out there and you're making a fantastic play. We're talking about a play where you go out there and get your uniform dirty. You get in the dirt and you scratch and claw. And
yeah, that's like my son. He goes and slides for no reason
so
just to have a dirty uniform.
There you go. So
Absolutely.
he can submit himself for the Maytag Play of the Day. So fans have a chance to go on MLB.com and vote for the Filthiest Play of the Week, and it's just a really cool program. And when fans go to vote on those plays, they are entered into a sweepstakes to win tickets to the World Series at the end of the season. So, voter,
nice.
That's a heck of a prize.
And what stadium? We got to run, but what stadium is that World Series ticket going to get you into? Who's going to be there,
we'll
man?
Have to see
who do you like?
I don't listen. I'm not into
listen. Who do you like?
I'm not into predicting.
Oh, come on.
I'm going to say the Nats are going to come off the scrap.
Yeah, okay. Hey, I know you'll say this. Kershaw better win this October.
Yeah,
it's time to reverse
Kershaw
this.
Does have to step up. It'd be nice to see the Mets continue to do what they're doing.
Toronto's interesting.
Toronto is very interesting, but the Yankees have been playing better than I think many guys expected them to play. So the New York teams are back in prominence. It would be nice to see a coast to coast World Series at some point.
He can't predict because he's lobbying for a job. Again, that's MLB.com/Maytag. Samter will put that up there. Filthiest Play of the Week.
Joined now by the national skipper, Barry Larkin. Here on Barry, classy as always. Good luck to your son. We'll be chatting down the road.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate you. Got it, man.
Okay,
We'll tweet out that Maytag stuff for you.